The photo was posted at 6:32 a.m. By 6:40, it already had 127 likes. I was still in bed when my phone started buzzing non-stop on the nightstand. At first, I thought something had happened. An emergency, maybe. But when I finally grabbed it and opened the notifications, my stomach dropped. It was a photo of me. Of us. Me. Sean. His mother. Smiling. Perfect. Too perfect. The caption read, "Sunday brunch with my beautiful family." So grateful for these moments I froze. Because that brunch never happened. My name is Vanessa Kelly. I'm 41 years old, and up until that morning, I believed I had a relatively normal marriage. Not perfect, no, but stable. Predictable. Safe in the way long-term relationships sometimes become. But that photo wasn't just wrong. It was impossible. I sat up slowly, my heart starting to pound in that quiet, uncomfortable rhythm that comes when your brain hasn't caught up with your instincts yet. The light coming through the curtains felt too bright, too sharp, like it didn't belong to the same reality as the image on my phone. I opened the post again. Same table. Same kitchen in Grace's house. The white ceramic plates she only used for special occasions. The linen napkins folded just so. Even the small vase with yellow tulips in the center. Everything looked exactly right. Except I stared at myself in the picture. I was wearing a blue dress I hadn't seen in months. My hair was styled, softly curled, like I'd taken time with it. My makeup was light, effortless. But I remembered Sunday. I remembered it clearly. I hadn't been at Grace's house. I hadn't worn that dress. And I definitely hadn't smiled like that. "Sean?" I called, my voice tighter than I expected. There was a pause from the hallway. Then his footsteps. "Yeah," he said, appearing in the doorway, already dressed, already awake. Too awake. I turned the phone toward him. "What is this?" He looked at the screen. Just for a second. And then he shrugged. "It's just a photo. My mom posts stuff all the time. Just a photo." Something about the way he said it, casual, dismissive, made my chest tighten even more. "Sean," I said slowly, "we weren't there." He hesitated. Only for a moment. But I saw it. "You're overthinking it," he replied, walking into the room. "Maybe it's from a different day. She probably just posted it now." "No," I said, shaking my head. "No, I would remember this." I zoomed in. That's when I saw it. A small detail. Easy to miss. But once you noticed it, you couldn't unsee it. My hand. Resting on the table. Except, that wasn't my ring. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Sean," I whispered, "whose ring is that?" And for the first time since I showed him the photo, he didn't answer. Sean didn't answer. He just stood there, one hand still resting on the door frame, like he needed something to hold on to. His eyes flicked from the phone to me and then away again, landing somewhere on the floor. "That's probably just the angle," he said finally. "The angle." I let out a short, dry laugh that didn't feel like mine. "The angle changed my ring?" I asked. He exhaled, already irritated now. That familiar shift, when he decided the conversation was becoming inconvenient. "Vanessa, come on. It's early." You're reading into this way too much. Too much. That phrase again. I looked back at the photo, zooming in even closer, my fingers slightly trembling now. The ring was silver. Simple. Not my gold band. Not even close. And the way my hand rested on the table, it looked natural, relaxed. Like it belonged there. Like I had been there. Then explain the dress, I said quietly. Explain my hair. Explain any of this. Sean rubbed his face, dragging his hand down slowly. I don't know, okay? Maybe she edited it. You know how she is. Yes. I did know how she was. Grace had always had a particular relationship with reality. Not lies. Not exactly. More like adjustments. Polishing things. Fixing details. Rewriting small parts of stories so they sounded better, cleaner, more presentable. The first time I noticed it was 3 years ago, at a family dinner. We were sitting in her dining room, the same one from the photo, and she was telling a story about Sean's childhood. About how he had gotten into one of the best schools in the area. He worked so hard, she said proudly, smiling at him. Stayed up every night studying. I remember glancing at Sean. Because he had told me a different version. That he barely got in. That his grades weren't great. That his mother had helped behind the scenes. Pulled some strings. But when I looked at him that night, he just smiled and nodded. Like her version was the truth. Later, in the car, I asked him about it. That's not what you told me before. He shrugged. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That was Sean's solution to everything uncomfortable. Erase it. Smooth it over. Move on. Back in the bedroom, I felt that same unease creeping in again. That quiet, familiar doubt. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe this was just another one of Grace's adjustments. But then why didn't he just say that? Why did he look like that when I asked about the ring? Did you know about this? I asked suddenly. Sean looked up. What? The post. The photo. Did she tell you she was going to post it? He hesitated again. And that hesitation, it hit harder this time. I mean, she posts all the time, he said quickly. I don't keep track. That's not what I asked. My voice was sharp, tighter. A pause stretched between us. Then he sighed. No. She didn't tell me. I held his gaze. Too long. Because something didn't feel right. Not just the photo. Not just the ring. Him. The way he was standing. The way he avoided my eyes. The way every answer felt slightly off. Like he was choosing words instead of just saying them. I looked back down at the screen. 127 likes had turned into 212. And then I noticed something else. A comment. Pinned. From Grace. Finally everything is as it should be. I felt a chill run down my spine. What did that mean? I couldn't stop staring at that comment. Finally everything is as it should be. It didn't sound like a caption. It sounded like a conclusion. Or worse, a correction. Did she say anything to you recently? I asked, still looking at the screen. Sean shifted his weight. About what? About us. About fixing things. Changing things. He frowned slightly. No. Why would she? Good question. Why would she? Except Grace had always had opinions about our marriage. About everything, really. Subtle at first. Then less subtle. She just wants what's best for you, Sean used to say whenever I brought it up. But what's best never seemed to include me. I put the phone down on the bed and swung my legs over the side, my mind already racing ahead of me. Sunday. If that photo wasn't real, then where had I actually been? I tried to replay it. Morning. Coffee in the kitchen. The hum of the dishwasher. I remember standing by the window, watching someone walk their dog past the house. Then my stomach tightened. I had left. Around noon. I went to Lisa's, I said out loud. Sean blinked. What? Sunday. I wasn't here. I went to Lisa's place. Remember? I told you I needed to get out for a bit. He paused. Too long. I guess, he said. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. I turned to him slowly. You dropped me off. That part one remembered clearly. The car ride. The silence. The way he kept tapping his fingers against the steering wheel like he was in a hurry to be somewhere else. You said you had to help your mom with something, I added. Sean's jaw tightened slightly. I did. Then why does she have a photo of all of us together at the same time? He didn't answer immediately. And that silence it stretched. Filled the room. Pressed against my chest. I don't know, Vanessa, he said finally, his tone firmer now. Maybe it's from another weekend. You're acting like this is some kind of conspiracy. The word hung in the air. Conspiracy. That's when something inside me shifted. Because I hadn't said that. Not out loud. But he had. I picked up the phone again, my fingers moving faster now. I opened Grace's profile. Scrolling. Post after post. Birthdays. Holidays. Dinners. Smiling faces. Perfect lighting. Carefully written captions. A perfect life. Our perfect life. Except, as I kept scrolling, a strange feeling started to grow in my chest. Unease. Then confusion. Then something sharper. I stopped. Zoomed in on another photo. It was from 2 months ago. A dinner at her house. I remembered that night. Or at least I thought I did. But in the photo I was wearing something different. My hair was different. Even the way I was sitting looked unfamiliar. Like someone trying to be me. Sean, I said slowly, not taking my eyes off the screen, why do I look different in all of these? He didn't respond. I turned. He was watching me now. Carefully. Too carefully. And that's when I realized something that made my skin crawl. He wasn't confused. He wasn't surprised. He was waiting. That look stayed with me. Even after he turned away. Even after he muttered something about needing coffee and walked out of the room like none of this mattered. But it did. It mattered more than anything suddenly. Because once you see something you can't unsee it. I followed him into the kitchen a few minutes later, my phone still in my hand. The house felt different now. Same walls. Same furniture. But something underneath it all had shifted. Like the air itself knew something I didn't. Sean was standing by the counter, pouring coffee into his mug. Calm. Steady. Almost too normal. How long? I asked. He didn't turn around. How long what? This, I said, holding up the phone. These photos. Her posting things that aren't real. He took a slow sip before answering. You're exaggerating. I'm not. Now he turned. And there it was again. That controlled expression. You're tired, he said. You didn't sleep well. You're jumping to conclusions. I felt something flare inside me. Anger. Sharp. Immediate. Stop doing that. Doing what? Making me sound like I'm crazy. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Silence. Thick. Uncomfortable. Then he sighed again, like I was the problem that needed to be managed. Look, he said, softer now. My mom, she likes things to look nice. That's all. She edits photos. Everyone does. Editing is one thing, I said. This is something else. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. She changed how I look. She changed where I was. She changed reality. Sean's eyes flickered. Just for a second. But I caught it. And in that second, I knew. He understood exactly what I meant. So what are you saying? He asked carefully. There it was. Carefully. Like he was stepping around something dangerous. I'm saying this isn't normal, I replied. And the fact that you're acting like it scares me. That word landed. Scares. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he set his mug down a little too hard. You're blowing this out of proportion. And you're avoiding it. Our voices were rising now. Not shouting. But close. Vanessa, it's just a photo. No, I said firmly. It's not. I held up the screen again. And this isn't the only one. I scrolled. Stopped. Turned the phone toward him. This was from last Christmas, I said. He looked. And something changed. Not much. Just enough. Because for the first time he didn't try to explain it. Didn't dismiss it. Didn't say I was overreacting. He just stared at it. Quiet. Too quiet. What is it? I asked. He didn't answer. My heart started pounding again. Sean, what is it? He swallowed. And when he finally spoke, his voice was lower. Tighter. You need to stop going through her posts. Not. That's weird. Not. I don't know. But. Stop looking. That was the moment something inside me clicked into place. Because innocent people don't say that. They explain. They question. They react. They don't shut it down. I slowly lowered the phone. And for the first time I started to wonder if this wasn't just about Grace. I didn't say anything else after that. Not because I believed him. But because I didn't. And for the first time, I realized something unsettling. If I kept asking questions out loud, I would only get controlled answers. Carefully chosen. Measured. Useless. So I stopped asking him and started paying attention instead. The rest of the morning passed in a strange, stretched silence. Sean moved around the kitchen, checking emails, answering messages, acting like everything was completely normal. Like I hadn't just shown him proof that something was deeply wrong. Like I hadn't just asked him whose ring was on my hand. At one point, he even asked, casually, "Do you want eggs or toast?" I stared at him. "Are you serious right now?" He looked up, confused. What? That's when I understood something else. This wasn't just avoidance. This was control. Control of the situation. Control of the tone. Control of what was allowed to matter. "I'm going out," I said suddenly. "Where?" I grabbed my bag from the chair. "To Lisa's." That made him pause. "You just saw her Sunday." "I know." "Then why?" "Because I want to." He watched me for a second longer than necessary. Then nodded. "Okay." Too easy. That okay didn't feel like permission. It felt like calculation. The drive to Lisa's apartment felt different than it had just 2 days ago. The same streets, the same turns, but now my mind kept replaying everything. The photo. The ring. The comment. And Sean's face when I showed it to him. When I got there, Lisa opened the door in pajamas, holding a mug of coffee, her hair still messy. "Vanessa? Everything okay?" "No," I said. Not even close. An hour later, we were sitting at her kitchen table, my phone between us, the photo open again. Lisa leaned in, squinting. "Okay, that's creepy," she said. "Right?" I whispered. "No, I mean really creepy. This looks real." "It's not." "I know. That's the problem." She zoomed in, her fingers moving slowly across the screen. "Wait," she said suddenly. "What?" She pointed. "This your hand." "I know." "The ring." "No," she said. "Not just the ring." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Lisa turned the phone slightly toward me. "Look at the fingers." I leaned closer. And then I saw it. Something so small I had completely missed it before. But now, it was obvious. That wasn't just a different ring. Those weren't my hands. "They're longer," Lisa said quietly. "And your nails, you always keep them short." I felt a wave of cold spread through my body. Because she was right. "Then whose are they?" I whispered. Lisa didn't answer. Instead, she leaned back slowly, crossing her arms. "I think," she said carefully, "you need to ask a different question." "What question?" She held my gaze. "Not whose hands are those, a pores." "Then, why does someone want it to look like they're yours?" And just like that, everything felt worse. That question stayed in the air between us. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Why would anyone do that? I asked, my voice quieter now. Lisa didn't answer right away. She reached for her coffee, took a slow sip, then leaned forward again, her expression sharper this time. "Okay," she said. "Let's think about this logically." I nodded, even though nothing about this felt logical anymore. "You have photos online," she continued. "Right?" "Of course." "On your social media?" "Yes." She tilted her head slightly. And Grace follows you. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Yes, another pause. Then Lisa turned the phone back toward herself and started scrolling again, not just through Grace's posts this time, but zooming in, comparing angles, details, lighting. What are you doing? I asked. Looking for patterns. Patterns. My chest tightened. Vanessa, she said slowly, some of these photos they look edited together. I felt my breath catch. What do you mean together? I mean, she said, tapping the screen, this, your face, it looks like it was taken from somewhere else. The lighting doesn't match the rest of the photo. I stared at it. And the more I looked, the more it started to fall apart. Small inconsistencies. Shadows going in slightly different directions. Edges that were just a little too smooth. Oh my God, I whispered. Lisa nodded grimly. Yeah. I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. She's what? Editing me into photos? Looks like it. But why? Lisa didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked something else. Does she like you? The question caught me off guard. I don't know. Not really. She respects you? No. She listens to you? I let out a humorless laugh. Definitely not. Lisa nodded, like she had expected that. Then this isn't about liking you, she said. This is about using you. The word hit hard. Using. For what? I asked. She hesitated. And that hesitation, it made my stomach drop again. Image, she said finally. Control. Maybe even something bigger. Bigger how? Lisa looked at me carefully. Vanessa, has anything else felt off lately? Money? Documents? Things not adding up? Money. The word landed heavier than it should have. Because suddenly, something clicked. A memory. Small. Dismissed at the time. But now it didn't feel small anymore. Sean asked me to sign something last month. I said slowly. Lisa's eyes narrowed. What kind of something? I don't know. He said it was just paperwork. Something about insurance. Routine. Did you read it? I hesitated. And that was enough. Lisa leaned forward. Vanessa. I skimmed it, I said quickly. It didn't look important. Do you have a copy? I think so. My hands were already moving, opening my email, searching. And then, there it was. An attachment. Unopened since the day I signed it. I stared at the file name. And felt that same cold feeling creep back into my chest. Open it, Lisa said. I hesitated. Just for a second. Because something deep inside me already knew, whatever was in that document was going to change everything. My finger hovered over the screen. I didn't open the file right away. For a second, I just stared at it, feeling that strange resistance, like some part of me was trying to protect me from what I was about to see. Vanessa, Lisa said quietly, open it. I inhaled slowly. Then tapped. The document loaded. At first, it looked exactly like I remembered. Formal layout, dense text, paragraphs full of legal language that blurred together if you didn't focus. Insurance. That's what Sean had called it. Just routine, he said that night, sliding the papers toward me across the kitchen table. You trust me, right? I remembered hesitating even then. Just for a second. But he smiled. Reassuring. Calm. And I signed. Now, sitting in Lisa's kitchen, I started reading. Properly reading. Line by line. My eyes moved slower this time. More carefully. And then, I stopped. Wait, I whispered. What? Lisa leaned closer. This isn't insurance. My heart started pounding again, louder now. What is it? I scrolled up, my fingers suddenly cold. There. Near the top. A title I hadn't noticed before. Authorization of image use and representation. My stomach dropped. Why would you need to sign that? Lisa asked. I wouldn't, I said. But I had. I kept reading. The words felt heavier now. Clearer. Sharper. Permission granted to use, alter, reproduce, and distribute likeness alter. Reproduce. Distribute. For any personal or related purposes. What does that even mean? Lisa muttered. I didn't answer. Because I was already scrolling further down. Looking for the part that mattered most. The signature. Mine. Dated. A month ago. And right below it, another name. I felt my breath catch. Who else signed it? Lisa asked. I didn't speak. I just turned the screen toward her. Grace Whitmore. Lisa blinked. His mother? I nodded slowly. But why would she need? I don't know, I cut in. But she's involved. Silence fell between us. Heavy. Real. Because this wasn't just about weird photos anymore. This was planned. Structured. Legal. They needed your permission, Lisa said carefully. That means they knew what they were doing wasn't normal. I stared at the document again. At the words. At my signature. You said he told you it was insurance? She asked. Yes. Lisa leaned back, shaking her head slightly. That's not a misunderstanding, Vanessa. I looked up. That's a lie. The word hit harder than anything so far. Because now, there was no room left for doubt. No confusion. No maybe. Just one question left. Why? And as I stared at Grace's name on that document, I realized something even worse. This didn't start with the photo. It started long before that. I want to see something, Lisa said suddenly. She reached for my phone again, her movements more focused now. What? I asked. Your posts. Your photos. My photos? Yeah. The ones you've uploaded yourself. I frowned, but opened my profile anyway, handing the phone over. Lisa started scrolling. Slower than before. More deliberate. She wasn't just looking. She was comparing. Cross-checking. Minute after minute passed. The silence stretched. What are you looking for? I asked again. Proof, she said. My stomach tightened. Of what? She didn't answer immediately. Then, here, she said. I leaned closer. It was a photo I had posted 6 months ago. A simple one. Me standing in the backyard, sunlight hitting my face, wearing a white blouse. I remembered it. That day had been ordinary. Quiet. Safe. Lisa tapped the screen. Now look at this. She switched back to Grace's profile. Scrolled. Stopped. My breath caught. It was the same photo. But not the same. The background had changed. The lighting adjusted. And next to me, Sean. Standing closer than I remembered. His arm around my waist. I felt my chest tighten. That wasn't there, I said. I know, Lisa replied. She zoomed in further. And look at his hand. I leaned even closer. And my heart dropped. It wasn't just placed there. It was positioned. Carefully. Deliberately. Like someone constructing a moment that never happened. He's touching you differently, Lisa said quietly. Different. That word echoed in my head. Because she was right. In my original photo, I was alone. But here, we looked intimate. Connected. Happy. Perfect. This isn't random, Lisa said. No, I whispered. It's consistent. I swallowed. What do you mean? She looked at me. This isn't just editing. This is storytelling. Storytelling. The word sent a chill down my spine. She's building something, Lisa continued. A version of your life. A version of your marriage. For who? I asked. Lisa didn't hesitate this time. For everyone. I felt something inside me shift again. Not confusion. Not fear. Something colder. Because suddenly, I understood the comment. Finally everything is as it should be. Not a caption. A goal. And Sean knows, I said quietly. Lisa didn't respond. She didn't need to. Because deep down, I already knew. The question wasn't if he was involved. The question was, how far this really went. Call him. Lisa's voice cut through my thoughts. I looked up. What? Sean, she said. Call him. Right now. My first instinct was to refuse. I wasn't ready. Not yet. Because calling him meant stepping out of suspicion and into confirmation. I don't think, Vanessa, Lisa interrupted. Firm now, you already know something's wrong. The question is whether you want to keep guessing or hear what he says when he doesn't have time to prepare. That hit. Hard. Because she was right. Every conversation so far, every answer, had felt rehearsed. Controlled. But this would be different. Unplanned. Raw. I stared at the phone in my hand. Then I tapped his name. It rang once. Twice. 3 times. Then, hey, Sean answered. His voice sounded normal. Too normal. Hey, I said, trying to keep my tone steady. What are you doing? Just got to work, he replied. Everything okay? I glanced at Lisa. She nodded slightly. Yeah, I said. I just had a quick question. Okay, a pause. Small. But there. Why did you have me sign that document last month? I asked. Silence. Not long. But long enough. What document? He said. Too fast. Too clean. I closed my eyes for a second. Sean, I said quietly, the one about image authorization. Another pause. Longer this time. And then, oh. That, he said. It's nothing. Just paperwork. Nothing. The word felt almost insulting now. It says you can alter and use my image, I continued. Why would you need that? He exhaled. A small sound. Barely there. You're overthinking it again. There it was. The script. Familiar. Predictable. Wrong. No, I said. I'm reading it. Silence again. Then, it's for my mom's project, he said. Project. I felt something tighten in my chest. What project? She's been working on something online, he replied. Content. Family stuff. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. I looked at Lisa. Her expression said everything. Then why didn't you tell me the truth when I signed it? I asked. That's when his tone changed. Slightly. But enough. Because I knew you'd react like this, he said. Cold. Flat. Controlled. So you lied, I said. I simplified it. My grip on the phone tightened. You had me sign legal permission to alter my identity, and you call that simplifying? Vanessa, he said, sharper now, you're blowing this out of proportion. It's just for social media. Everyone does this. No, I said quietly. They don't. Silence. Then, you're making this into something it's not. I felt something snap. Then tell me what it is, I said. Another pause. Longer. He inhaled. And for a second, I thought he might actually tell me the truth. But instead, it's just to present things better, he said. Present things better. The same language. The same tone. The same careful distance from reality. And in that moment I knew. This wasn't just his mother's idea. He believed in it too. Who are you presenting it to? I asked quietly. This time, the silence was different. He didn't answer immediately. Didn't deflect. Didn't dismiss. And when he finally spoke, his voice was lower. Almost cautious. People who need to see that everything is stable. Stable. The word echoed in my head. Who? I pressed. Another pause. And then, investors. My heart stopped. Investors? The word felt unreal. Like it didn't belong in my life. In my marriage. In what? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Sean hesitated. And that hesitation, it told me everything. Sean, I said, sharper now, in what? Another breath. Then, my company. I blinked. What company? Silence. And then I remembered something. Small. Dismissed. Ignored. The late nights. The calls. The times he said he was working on something big. You don't have a company, I said slowly. I do, he replied. No hesitation this time. Just certainty. When were you going to tell me? I was going to, he said. When it was ready. Ready. The word felt like a slap. How long? I asked. Another pause. About a year. A year. I felt the air leave my lungs. You've been building a company for a year and didn't tell your wife? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Silence. Again. Always silence when the truth got too close. And where does your mother fit into this? I asked. She's helping, he said. Helping. By faking our life? By presenting it, he corrected. I let out a slow breath, trying to steady myself. For investors, I repeated. Yes. And they need to see what exactly? That everything is stable, he said again. That I have a solid personal life. That there are no risks. Risks. The word hit differently this time. Risks like what? I asked. He didn't answer immediately. And then, divorce, he said. The room felt like it tilted. So you created a fake version of our marriage, I whispered, to convince people to give you money? It's not fake, he said quickly. It's just edited. I cut in. Silence. Again. Always that silence. How much? I asked suddenly. What? How much money? He hesitated. Then, enough to matter. My chest tightened. And if they find out? I asked. They won't. The certainty in his voice sent a chill through me. Because he didn't say I hope not. He said. They won't. Sean, I said slowly, you used my face, my identity, my life without telling me. I needed to, he replied. Needed. Not wanted. Not asked. Needed. That was the moment everything inside me finally snapped into place. Not confusion. Not fear. Clarity. Cold. Sharp. Final. Did you ever plan to tell me the truth? I asked. A pause. Then, yes. When? Another pause. And that answer never came. I didn't say goodbye. I just ended the call. The silence that followed felt louder than anything Sean had said. Lisa was watching me carefully. Well? She asked. I swallowed. He admitted it, I said. All of it. Her expression hardened. And? They're building a fake version of my life, I continued. For investors. For money. Lisa leaned back slowly. Jesus, I stood up. Too fast. My chair scraped loudly against the floor. I need to go there. Where? She asked, even though she already knew. His mother's house. Vanessa. No, I cut in. I'm done guessing. I'm done asking. I want to hear it from her. Lisa hesitated. Then nodded. Okay. I'm coming with you. The drive felt shorter this time. Sharper. Every turn felt like a step closer to something inevitable. By the time we pulled up to Grace's house, my hands weren't shaking anymore. That part was gone. Replaced by something else. Clarity. Cold and steady. The house looked the same as always. Perfect lawn. Clean windows. Controlled. Curated. I didn't knock. I opened the door and walked in. Grace? I called. My voice echoed through the hallway. A moment later, she appeared from the living room. Calm. Composed. Smiling. Vanessa, she said warmly. What a surprise. That smile. I saw it now. Not warmth. Not kindness. Control. We need to talk, I said. Her eyes flicked briefly to Lisa behind me. Then back to me. Of course, she said. Come in. I didn't move. No, I said. Here is fine. A pause. Small. Then, that same controlled smile. What's this about? I held up my phone. The photos. Another pause. Longer this time. But not surprised. Never surprised. I see, she said softly. That was it. No denial. No confusion. Just acceptance. You edited them, I said. She tilted her head slightly. Edited is such a harsh word. Then what would you call it? Improvement. The word hit like a slap. Using my face without permission is not improvement, I said. She smiled again. But you did give permission. I froze. Just for a second. Then I nodded slowly. The document. Yes, she said. Very thorough, don't you think? My chest tightened. You manipulated me into signing it. I presented it in a way that made it easier for you to agree. The same language. The same distortion. Why? I asked. Her expression didn't change. Because it was necessary. Necessary. Necessary for what? She stepped closer. Not aggressive. Not emotional. Just calm. Measured. For stability, she said. I felt something inside me snap again. You mean for money. Her smile didn't fade. Money requires stability, she replied. And stability requires perception. Perception. Not reality. People invest in what looks safe, she continued. What looks complete. A strong family. A supportive partner. You mean a fake one. I mean a presentable one. The words made my stomach turn. You turned my life into a performance, I said. No, she corrected gently. I refined it. Refined. I let out a breath. Slow. Controlled. And then I asked the question that had been building since the beginning. Who are the other women? For the first time, her smile faltered. Just slightly. What do you mean? She asked. The hands, I said. The photos. The ones that aren't mine. Silence. And in that silence, I got my answer. You replaced me, I whispered. She didn't deny it. She didn't confirm it. She just looked at me. And that was enough. I didn't replace you, Grace said calmly. I let out a quiet, humorless breath. Then what would you call it? She folded her hands in front of her as if we were discussing something polite over tea. Adaptation, she replied. I shook my head slowly. No. You don't get to rename this. Lisa shifted slightly behind me, but stayed silent. Grace's eyes moved back to me. You were inconsistent, she continued. Unavailable. Emotionally unpredictable. I felt my jaw tighten. So you found someone more convenient? I found ways to maintain continuity. Continuity. Like I was a gap to be filled. Not a person. You used other women's bodies, I said. Their hands. Their presence. Details, she replied smoothly. Details. That word made something inside me go cold. Do they know? I asked. Grace tilted her head. Know what? That they're being used. A pause. Brief. Calculated. They participated, she said. My stomach turned. Participated. You paid them? I asked. Compensated, she corrected. Of course. Always corrected. Always reframed. And Sean? I asked. He knew about all of this? Yes. No hesitation. No shame. Just truth. Clean. Sharp. Final. I nodded slowly. Not surprised. Not anymore. So this whole time, I said, I've been living in a version of reality that you've been editing, replacing, controlling, improving, she added softly. I looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time, I didn't feel intimidated. Or confused. Or even angry. Just done. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Her expression didn't change. But I saw it. That small flicker of curiosity. You're going to delete every single image that uses my likeness, I continued. Silence. You're going to remove my name from anything related to this project, still silence. And you're going to send me every document, every contract, every agreement that involves me. Grace smiled faintly. And if I don't? I stepped closer. Matching her calm. Matching her control. Then I make sure your investors see the real version. That landed. Not loudly. But deeply. For the first time, her smile disappeared. Just slightly. Just enough. You wouldn't, she said. I held her gaze. You're right, I said quietly. A pause. Then, I wouldn't have. Yesterday. Silence filled the space between us. Heavy. Shifting. Different now. Because the balance had changed. Control had moved. And for the first time since this started, it wasn't in her hands anymore. I didn't wait for her answer. Because I didn't need it anymore. For the first time since this started, I wasn't asking for explanations. I wasn't trying to understand them. I already did. And that changed everything. Come on, I said quietly to Lisa. We turned and walked out of the house without another word. Grace didn't follow. Didn't stop me. Didn't try to fix it. Because she knew. Whatever control she had built it was slipping. And she couldn't edit this moment. The air outside felt colder than before. Sharper. Real. I took a deep breath as we reached the car, my hands finally starting to shake again, but not from confusion this time. From release. From the weight finally shifting off my chest. "What are you going to do?" Lisa asked gently. I looked straight ahead. For a second, I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I already knew. "I'm leaving him," I said. The words came out steady. Clear. Final. Lisa nodded. No surprise. Just quiet support. "And the investors?" she asked. I exhaled slowly. "They'll get the truth," I said. Not out of revenge. Not out of anger. But because, for the first time in a long time, I wasn't willing to be part of a lie. The next few days moved fast. Faster than I expected. I packed my things. Changed my accounts. Spoke to a lawyer. And when Sean finally came home that night, I was already standing by the door. Suitcase beside me. He froze when he saw it. "Vanessa," I didn't let him finish. "No," I said calmly. "We're not doing that conversation." He stepped closer. "This isn't what you think. It's exactly what I think," I replied. My voice didn't shake. Not anymore. "You didn't just lie to me," I continued. "You built something around me without my consent. You turned my life into a tool." He ran a hand through his hair. Frustrated. Desperate. "I was trying to build something for us," he said. "For us." I almost smiled. "You were building something for yourself," I corrected. "And I was just part of the image." Silence. Heavy. Real. "Are you really going to throw everything away over this?" he asked. That question. That moment. It would have broken me before. Made me doubt. Made me stay. But not now. "I'm not throwing anything away," I said quietly. I looked at him. Really looked. And for the first time, I saw him clearly. Not as my husband. Not as my partner. But as someone who had chosen control over honesty. Perception over truth. "I'm taking my life back." He didn't respond. Because there was nothing left to say. I picked up my suitcase. Walked past him. And didn't look back. A week later, everything was different. The photos were gone. Every single one. My name had disappeared from her pages. From his project. From their version of reality. And as for the investors, they received an email. Short. Direct. With evidence attached. No drama. No emotion. Just truth. I don't know what happened after that. And honestly, I don't need to. Because this was never really about them. It was about me. About boundaries. About identity. About the quiet, dangerous ways people can rewrite your life if you let them. I used to think betrayal was loud. Obvious. Explosive. But now I know, sometimes it's quiet. Careful. Edited. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because you don't see it right away. You adjust to it. You question yourself. You shrink. Until one day, you finally look closely enough. And realize you were never the version of yourself they were showing the world. And maybe the hardest question isn't, how did they do this to me? But how long was I willing to ignore it? So I'll ask you this. If someone rewrote your life, smoothed your edges, replaced parts of you, would you notice? Or would you keep smiling for the photo?